first graders! Today I wanted to talk to you about nonfiction books and the special features they have within the text that can really help us as readers. So first, what is nonfiction? Let's just say Emma needs to research sea turtles. She has to write a report for school. What will she do? First, she finds nonfiction books. Then she uses the nonfiction features. These features may include headings, graphs, and images. They help her decide if the books are right for her research. Once she gathers information, she can write her report. Nonfiction books are different from fiction books. Fiction books are often stories that are made up or did not happen. Nonfiction books are about real subjects or events. They are written using facts. Unlike fiction, nonfiction books do not have to be read all the way through from beginning to end. Readers can choose what to read. It might be the whole book, a chapter, or even just a sentence. Do you need to do research? Do you want to learn about real-life facts? If so, reading nonfiction is the way to go. And friends, I have some exciting news for you. We are going to be doing a special project about animals coming up, and nonfiction books are really going to help you with that project. So let's read on and see if we can learn all about these features in nonfiction books that will help us get this project done. Reading what's real. Nonfiction is a genre. It includes any book about real life. There are many types of nonfiction books. Reference books are nonfiction books, informational books, and some books about real life people are also nonfiction books. So it might include dictionaries, encyclopedias, and atlases. Maybe you have those in your house. It also includes biographies and autobiographies, even cookbooks and how-to books. But the type of nonfiction books we are going to be using for our research is informational books about animals. Now, most nonfiction books have a table of contents. The table of contents can be found at the beginning of the book. It tells readers what chapters can be found inside the book. Chapters are listed in numerical order. So I'm going to show you an example of a nonfiction book that I found on Epic. And this, let me just flip back to the beginning here. Here is the cover of the book, and it's called In the Forest. And when I open it, look what is right at the beginning, the table of contents. And as you can see, just like we talked about, it has its chapters in numerical order, chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. This particular nonfiction book has 4 chapters. And before I even read the book, I will read the chapters so I can know, maybe I can skip over chapter 1 and 2 and go right to chapter 3. Let's see. Chapter 1, What's in the Forest? That starts on page 4. Chapter 2, Changes in the Forest, starts on page 10. Chapter 3, Helping in the Forest, starts on page 28. And chapter 4 is about life in the forest, which starts on page 42. So let's just say for my project, I want to learn a little bit more about helping in the forest. Let's turn to page 28 and see if that is the chapter. It starts on that page. Oh, there it is, page 28. And as you can see, those page numbers are right on the bottom for you. And there it is, Helping in the Forest. And you just can read that chapter until you have the information that you need. So that is the table of contents. Now, text and images. The rest of the book after the table of contents is called the text. It is usually organized into chapters, just like we just talked about, and it often has headings, not all the time, but it will definitely have images, and images might include photographs, illustrations, or graphs. Now, graphs are just like we talked about or we are talking about this week, like bar graphs, and we've talked about earlier on in the year, you might see a bar graph in a nonfiction book, and that can tell you important information about whatever you need to know. Now, some other additional features that a nonfiction book might have include a glossary, and I'm going to show you about what a glossary looks like. Now, in this first book that I showed you, it does not include a glossary, as you can see, but in this book, this one's called What Can Live in the Forest. It does include a glossary, and I'm going to tell you what's included in that. So we're reading along. A forest is a habitat. Ooh, I noticed something about that word habitat. It looks different from the rest of the words. It's in bold-faced text. So that tells me, the reader, that this is an important and probably a new vocabulary word, habitat. Now, I know most of you know what habitat means, or you can look at the picture and figure it out because you're so clever. But if you don't, guess where you can look? The glossary, which is at the end of the book. So I'm going to flip all the way to the end. Oh, there it was. Here's the glossary, and glossaries are in alphabetical order. So I'm looking down and I'm looking for habitat, H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There must have been no D words, but look, there's our H word, habitat, and it tells us that a habitat is a place to live. So the glossary tells us about important vocabulary words that are in a nonfiction book, and you'll know that they're in the glossary when they're in bold-faced text. I'm going to show you another example of that on another page. Let's go back. Oh, look, there's one. Coat. A deer's brown coat helps it hide. Let's go back in the glossary and see what it tells us about that. Oh, there it is, alphabetical order. Coat, a layer of fur. So cool. That's a little bit about the glossary. Now, as you can see here, here's another cool feature of nonfiction books, and that is the index. Now, this is really helpful, especially if a book does not have a table of contents, which this one actually does not, because I could flip to the index in the back and figure out what page to turn to rather than reading the whole book. So speaking of coat, I want to learn more about that. So I look up coat, there it is, and I know that on page 9 I would find out information. So I'm going to flip back to page 9, and there you have it. A little bit of information about a coat. Now let's go back to the index and see what else we can learn from this book. Ooh, I'm really interested in learning a little bit about teeth. So let's go ahead and flip to page 12. Here we go. Let's see if page 12 has information about teeth. Oh, squirrels use long front teeth to open acorns. Cool. Squirrels use bushy tails. The tails help them land after they leap. Okay, so that's not about teeth, but I did get some cool information about teeth on this page, which is page 12. So that, my friends, is what the index can help us do. So if you're ever stuck about, wanting to learn about a particular thing about an animal, you might flip to the back of the book and use the index to help you with that. Now, there are many more features of nonfiction text. I'm going to quickly show you some more here. And zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Okay. So we talked about the glossary. We talked about the table of contents, and we talked about the index. Another important thing that you need to know is about and we also talked about special print. Here it tells us about special print. When a word is bold, in italics, or underlined, it is an important word for readers to know. So the other important thing that you might need to know is about captions. Now, captions are words near a picture or photograph to help readers better understand it. So that's why when we're reading nonfiction text, it's so important to take our time, read slowly and carefully, and notice the beautiful pictures that are within the book because we can learn a lot about it. Let's go back in our nonfiction books from Epic and see if we can find a caption. I don't think this one has it, but I bet this one does. Let's see. Oh, here's one. So here's a picture. And if I'm just looking at this picture, if I were to cover up these words here, I might say, what is this picture trying to tell me? Yes, it's a beautiful picture, but I don't know what I should learn from looking at it. So I can read this caption. Plants help animals in the forest too. Some trees hang low over streams and ponds. They shade the water from the hot sun. Now, I would not have known that just by looking at the picture. I learned a little bit more about it from reading the caption, and that can also help you when you are reading a nonfiction book. I'm going to take a moment and just put this back up for you to quickly take a peek at some nonfiction features so you can see there are a lot of special features in nonfiction books that can help you. And we went over some of the most important ones today. So I hope that was interesting to you. I love reading nonfiction books because I love to learn new information, and these special features can really help me to do that. Thanks for listening.